Lewis. My goodness. I'm waiting for the bits, and then we're going to... Ooh, look at those bits coming in. They're almost there.
Me.
That's what our viewers and listeners want to hear. Start of the show.
Yeah, sure.
All right, we're live. Oh, what? Lewis? Should I go unlive now? What are you doing, dude? We're live.
Man, it got hot in here all of a sudden. Yesterday in San Francisco was cold, like winter. Today it's warm, like summer. It's whiplash.
Like 70 degrees?
66.
66? Oh, my goodness. I hope you got your AC on.
I do. I cracked the window.
Oh, is that where you went?
Yeah, that's where I went.
I was wondering why
San Francisco AC.
I was wondering why you just disappeared when we went live. All right, let me go and say shout out to Jay Cruz. Hey, y'all. We got Mookie X here. Oh, is Mookie new? I don't remember that name. We got Roz Hall here with his iPhone 5C. Let's see here. Let me pop that out so I can actually see it. We are going to probably jump into the show here, my govs, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about, as you probably imagine, and not enough time to probably talk about everything. Let me see here. You want that tweet action, Lewis?
It sounds great.
You haven't even asked for
plan.
it. But this is the one. And we know that we have...
This is the one.
We know that we have the bigwigs listening to hear our reactions to the iCloud storage upgrade that we've been going on and on and on and on about for months. And guess what happened this week? And you know what? I have it on good authority to hear or that TC was made aware of our feedback. And he was worried about the effect it was having in the Apple community. And he got real squinty. And he said, make it happen, y'all. And they did. And what a novel way to increase it, They just switched it on all of a sudden. Oh, now you got 6 terabytes or 12. Isn't that amazing how that works?
It's just a flick of his hand, like a flick of his wrist.
Well, he had two switches, one for 6 and one for 12. They're right next to his desk. He's been waiting to turn them on. And once I spent 2 months agonizing over what I was going to do and making changes, lifestyle changes, and trying out 10 different tools to see if I could go without iCloud storage. Once I figured all that stuff out, of course, he flicked the switch. So
the second to last time, he said, I just want to see him suffer 1 week more.
I hear that's one of his favorite things is to see people suffer, especially if you've leaked an Apple device in the past. All right, let's go ahead and queue up Mrs. You-Know-Who, and we'll get this show rolling. Oh, Mrs. D. Mrs. D. Oh, my dear, I can't wait for the show. Oh, me either, Mrs. D. I also like to see people suffer. Oh, yeah, really? That's hardcore. Well, mostly just LK. Suffer in the bedroom. Oh. I don't even know what that means, Lewis.
Oh, jeez. I don't want to contemplate it.
Mostly Tantra. Oh, God. They practice Tantra, Lewis. That is not what I wanted to hear. I guess LK has lots of free time to work on such things now that he doesn't have a job anymore.
Jeez.
Okay.
Wow, I wonder if he listens to these intros.
Are you kidding me? LK didn't listen to the show when he was on the show. You think he's listening to it now? I don't know if LK has ever heard the show.
I can't bear to listen to it when I'm on it, but I mean when I'm not on it, no problem.
Oh, man. All right, well, Mrs. D, now that you've completed your weekly making us all nauseous, if you don't mind, let's just go ahead and get this thing rolling. We got a lot of Apple news to talk about, and not a lot of time to talk about it. So we will get this thing rolling. Let me pull up my notes here. Oh yeah, here we go. I want to make sure we don't forget anything. In 3, 2. Hello! Welcome to CultCast, the best 30+ minute Apple conversation you're gonna hear all week long. I'm your host, Everyone, Elijah joined me today. For years, he's been criticized for infusing his skeleton with grade 5 titanium alloy. Not only has this enhancement made him unstoppable when pursuing escaped CultCloth writers, but iPhone 15 is now getting the same upgrade. Just goes to show he's always ahead of the pack. He's the managing editor of CultCloth. Lewis Wallace is here.
Hey, if it's good enough for the Mars lander, it's good enough for me.
And Wolverine. Forget about Wolverine. I guess that was different material, though. Also with us, he always does what it takes to keep you informed. His routine of stretching, finger weights, and subliminal message tapes have helped him reach an unmatched 800 words per minute this week during this busy Apple News week. He's a writer at CultCloth. Griffin Jones is here.
Good evening.
Man, it's like you have titanium alloy in your hands getting up to those speeds. You got to have like some kind of a mechanical enhancement to get it up that high, I think. Just regular bones and joints, I don't feel like I could get it up that high. Right?
That's right. It was enormously expensive.
Well, it's a good thing that CultCloth has unlimited funds to fund such projects and keep the writers at the top of their game. And it was a busy week, no doubt. We had a lot of stuff going on this week, as you all know. We're going to be talking about the Wonderlust event. I think here's what we're going to do. It's always hard to know where to start with all this stuff because it took Apple 75 minutes of actual months of preparation and being succinct to get through everything. So there's no possible way we're going to get through all of it in just 30 minutes. So we're going to do a deep dive into things that we think are interesting. We'll, of course, do a flyby on everything that they announced and talk about it at least at some surface level. But obviously, we got to go deep on the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro Max, new features. I think we got to talk about these Apple Watches for a little while because there's some interesting new developments happening with the Ultra 2 and with the Series 9. In fact, I think what they did with them was very interesting, and they're a lot closer now than they've ever been. And we'll talk about AirPods. We're going to go through everything. There's also some features that Apple released but didn't really talk about on stage, which I thought were interesting. Of course, we have the one feature that you all know we're going to have to talk about, and that's the iCloud storage upgrade. And some of you were commenting on Twitter that you're happy that they released this just so I'd stop complaining. Well, guess what? I found something new to complain about, so don't you worry. We've always got something new. We've always got progress that can be made. I'm happy to see that we got the upgrade in storage, but now we got another problem to talk about. So we'll do that, and then if we have time, oh my goodness, look at all this. We got to do the Wonderlust prediction results. Maybe we can cruise through that fast, Griffin, because I'm honestly not sure which one of us won. I think it was me. Do you know actually which one of us won?
We just skip it.
I do know, yes. They're all tabulated. If we have time for it, but that's not necessarily essential.
Okay, well, you guys are just confirming now. Now I can tell. I haven't even looked, but now I know who won. So now I think we definitely need to make time for it. Okay, well, let's see here. Before we dive in, I want to give a thank you to Squarespace for supporting this episode. Squarespace are probably our longest running sponsor. They have been with us for almost since the beginning. So I'm obviously grateful to them for that because they help make what we do possible. But they can also help you do what you need to do, and that is get your life in order. You still don't have that business that practically prints money like CultCloth.co. Especially this time of year, when they release the new gadgets, that's when the CultCloth bucks really start pouring in. And I run the entire CultCloth.co website on Squarespace because it's just so easy to use. I created the website years ago. It's super easy to maintain. It's easy to build. You don't need to know how to code. You can have your website up in mere moments, and then you can just drag and drop everything. Just like you literally just move everything around with your cursor to make it look uniquely yours. You can change all your fonts and images, add social media, add galleries. It's easy to create coupon codes for your products. You can sell physical products, digital products. You can have a coaching service where people can book your time. You can have a membership where people pay to access your private members area. I mean, there's just everything. You can promote your business. You can just start a blog. Whatever you want to do, you can do it at squarespace.com/CultCast to get started. Sign up for the trial. They just require an email address and a password. You don't even need to give them your credit card information. And at the end of your trial in 2 weeks, if you like what you have, you can just continue your service with a subscription and use code CultCast at checkout to save 10% off your first purchase. And if you do a year of service, which is what I do, you get an additional discount. So it's a great price. I've never had a single problem with my Squarespace website. It's literally never gone down that I've noticed. And I'm getting hundreds of orders usually per minute, just like Amazon does. And it still stays up. I mean, they probably had to add, I'm going to guess they probably had to add servers and probably nuclear power to keep all the servers running, advanced vortex fans and all that kind of advanced technology just to keep the servers cool for all the orders that I have coming in. And it's never flickered once. Super reliable and easy to use. Squarespace.com/CultCast and use code CultCast at checkout to get that discount code off your first purchase. Okay, let's dive right in. Griffin, going to you. Let's talk about iPhone 15 Pro, Pro Max, new features, but only one higher price tag. And technically, I know you're probably going to mention this. It's actually not even higher.
Yeah, so the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, they were rumored to have price increases. However, the iPhone 15 Pro remains at $999, and I believe the prices are the same for all of its higher configurations. With the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it starts at $1199, which is $100 more than before, but you get by default the 256 gigabyte option that you previously had to pay an extra $100 for. So the prices actually didn't go up technically, but there is a higher floor, a higher barrier to entry if you want the bigger phone. It has a lot of the features that were rumored, like the customizable action button. Instead of the mute switch, you can assign it to a bunch of different things. I don't know if you caught this, but in the keynote, the user interface for that setting panel, they went so above and beyond. It has like this 3D model of the phone with all these like light effects and everything as you're swiping through the different options.
You know what it reminded me of?
It's so unnecessary.
It was a harken back to the days of Scott Forstall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was so skeuomorphic. It was everything that they went away from, and now I feel like it kind of trickled back in. Is it qualify as skeuomorphism? I think it does, because it's a digital representation of a physical thing, which is what skeuomorphism is. And I was like,
arguably, I guess.
Scott's on his way back. He was right.
The button is like glowing different colors as you swipe between the different options.
Let me see if I can bring up an example of this. Do we have an example of it anywhere in the story? I don't think so. That's a nice lizard, though. Sorry, go ahead. There's nothing here. I'll try to bring something up.
It has a USB-C connector that is sadly only a USB 3 connector, not Thunderbolt, as we were suspecting it may be. The A17 Pro, which is the 3nm chip, significantly improved graphics. We didn't know this was coming, but it has hardware accelerated ray tracing for even better graphics.
That's super extra.
Yeah, that is apparently 4 times faster than just running it through software. That's of course dependent on whether game developers actually care enough to adopt it
for a phone.
So many of these games are written using these cross-platform things that probably won't see it in a few years. But anyways, it has this is something I found funny. They have a new generation of their ultra wideband chip. The first one was called the U1, but they don't call the new one the U2.
They don't.
They just call it the second generation ultra wideband chip.
Well, they don't want to get sued by Bono. That would be a bad look, right? Especially after all their partnership over the years.
Well, they're not afraid of getting sued by Mercedes, by a BMW. They just call the M2 and M3 and all those. But
that is interesting though that they made that decision, because the U2 would obviously be such a natural naming convention for it.
You'd almost think that they would intentionally want to call it the U2, because then when people Google Apple U2, they won't see that whole Songs of Innocence album debacle.
You guys remember this? You guys remember that special moment between Tim Cook and Bono? One of the most awkward moments on any stage I've ever seen.
Fest.
And that includes when we were at CES and we were at the Samsung event, and they brought up James. No, it wasn't James Cameron. Who's the guy that does the Transformers movies?
Michael Bay.
It was Michael Bay. And Michael Bay had this odd blank stare moment where it seemed like something was going wrong with the teleprompter. And then I forget what he said. Me and Buster were there for this. And he was visibly panicked. And he starts looking around, not knowing what to do. And I forget what he said, but I think he said like something like the teleprompter seems to not be having issues. And I think he said, I didn't sign up for this. I don't remember. And then he fled the stage. And then they went back to the executive. And, like they turned the spotlight back on him. And he's like standing there like, like wide-eyed, totally not sure what to do. And he had to recover this completely awkward moment because Michael Bay fled the stage. And they went back to him where he started talking about refrigerators or something.
If only they'd have had the foresight to pre-record the whole thing so everything would be perfect.
Yeah, well, not everyone's Apple.
Perfect.
Not everyone's Apple is. They didn't practice their smiles in front of a mirror and a expression coach for 3 months. Sorry, we're way off track here.
Expression coach.
The best expression coaches in Hollywood, working with Tim Cook for weeks to get that totally natural 1,000-mile stare smile that he does, the same look that his victims see before
I don't think
they
we
go
don't
to
have it in the
the
show
other
to
world.
talk about this, but there was the Earth Day or whatever, the Mother Nature like sketch in the middle of the keynote that I thought it was fine, but like the best part of that is like the bit where it just keeps zooming into Tim Cook's face closer and closer as he doesn't move. He's like statuesque. I need a GIF of that. I'm gonna make one.
That was
loved
serious.
that segment. I saw people giving him grief for it, but I thought it was great.
Me too. I thought it was great too. And actually, I thought that their performances were all really good. I mean, to be put in that situation with an actual actress and have it be believable and not cringe, because I actually thought that TC, because he can be pretty. He has a problem with having natural expressions, right? In situations where he's supposed to be doing those in real time. And I thought he actually pulled it off great. I would love to see more
They
more
know
sketches.
his limitations. Like they know that he's a pretty wooden person and that he can't pull off. So they didn't give him
Wooden,
any
how dare
complex
you.
lines like that.
No, but it's true. I mean, it was perfect and it was well done. And you know what else? It got across their message in a very entertaining way. I thought that was maybe the most brilliant aspect of the whole thing. I mean, they talked up their environmental stuff, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, without like patting themselves on the back for it. Like, they wrote in a character who was skeptical, which is pretty smart. Anyways, back to the stuff y'all care about.
Okay.
The iPhone 15 Pro cameras.
Good idea.
So now the main camera on the iPhone 15 Pro, before you could turn on it has a 48 megapixel sensor last year, but you couldn't actually shoot 48 megapixel pictures unless you turn on like Pro RAW mode.
God, so weird.
Now you can shoot 48 megapixel like HEIF, the default style images with like 4 times the resolution as before. You can get the full 48 megapixels. Last year on the iPhone 14 Pro, you could, even though it doesn't have a 2x zoom lens, it sort of faked it by like cropping in on the sensor without, really losing any image quality. They significantly improved that this year. Now, if you keep tapping on the 1x button, you'll cycle between 3 different presets that mimic different like camera focal lengths that are slightly zoomed in from each other. I think it's like 1.2x and like 1.6x or something like that to imitate like 24, 28, and 35 millimeter film, which is pretty cool. It also lets you smoothly zoom in anywhere between 1x and 2x while you're filming video without like, just digital zoom blowing up the pixels. Like it'll actually crop in on the sensor smoothly anywhere between any of those 2 points, which is really awesome. The iPhone 15 Pro's telephoto camera has the same 3x optical zoom lens, but the Pro Max has 5x optical zoom using a sort of a tweak on the commonly rumored periscope zoom lens design. Apple calls it a tetraprism.
It's a cool name.
The
Their
light,
marketing
shines in through
department, you got to hand it to them.
shines in through the lens, and then it bounces 4 times off of 4 different tiny little mirrors onto the sensor itself, because it has to zoom in, 5x. It has a much better image stabilization, which is really important because if you have shaky hands like me, it won't be all jittery when you zoom in that far. Portrait mode gets some huge updates this year. In portrait mode photos, you can now adjust the focus point after the picture has been taken. So when you take a portrait mode photo, it captures all of this depth information but now that depth information is stored along with the photo after the fact, so that you can adjust where the focus point is inside the portrait mode photo. So if you have one person in the foreground and one person in the background, you can switch between them after you've already taken the picture. When you're taking a normal picture, just not in portrait mode, if it detects a person, a dog, or a cat in the frame, it'll still capture like the same depth data as if it was a portrait mode photo that you can convert to portrait mode later after the fact. So you don't have to switch to portrait mode automatically. You can just take any normal picture and then you can add the same artificial blur effect. It apparently comes with double the low light performance. And they had like a bunch of example pictures. But the thing is, every year they of course cherry pick the best example pictures. So you can't actually tell how much better it'll be just by looking at their example pictures, because they always look perfect. But we'll see how they actually perform like that. And a feature that precisely 12 people will care about, you can capture spatial videos that you can replay on Apple Vision Pro when you eventually get one of those, maybe.
I do think that's interesting. And you mentioned this, like you were wondering about the file format and how the technical specs of a file like that. I am too, and I wonder if it's going to take up like double the storage space because you're using multiple cameras at the same time or something. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, man. That's an interesting feature. I don't know if I'm going to buy the Vision Pro yet. I probably won't buy the Gen 1. But how cool would it be to have videos that have that spatial element that you could watch in the future if these Apple headsets actually do stick around for a long time? If not, well, whatever, you just, wasted some storage space. Well, now you can buy more from iCloud. So that's not a big deal, right?
Yeah, but they say that they say that this feature is coming like later this year.
Yeah.
Or maybe just later. I don't even know if they gave a time frame on it. But anyways, like if you don't have a Vision Pro, you can start recording spatial videos now with the expectation that you'll be able to watch them in the future.
Which, how cool would that be to be able to take family videos and be able to watch them in 3D space? Like that's a pretty powerful, cool feature if you actually end up getting the Vision Pro. So although I would have to see how much space do these videos actually take. Because like if a normal, I'm just throwing out numbers here, these aren't real, but like if a normal video takes up 500 megabytes of space, but now the 3D depth map video takes up 1.2 gigabytes of space, that's a big commitment to take a video and just store it forever and have to pay Apple the and actually maybe it's not a coincidence that they upgraded the iCloud storage space at the same time this feature's coming out, because they're like, we know how big the video files are going to be if you take spatial videos. So a couple other things I just want to point out real quick. So it's funny, these cameras on the new 15 Pro and Pro Max, they are not telephoto cameras. Like the lenses are fixed. In fact, I have a note here. So the ultra wide is 13 millimeters. The telephoto is 48 millimeters. And then 77 millimeters, pardon me. The main camera is, what is it? Do I have that number here? I thought I did.
I think it's 24 millimeters.
Okay. So these new settings where they allow you to zoom in to 24 millimeters, 28 millimeters, I forget what the numbers actually are. These are purely zoom presets. That's all they are. It's like software zoom presets. You're not actually zooming into anything. You're zooming into the sensor, as Griffin pointed out. I don't know if you're going to lose any image fidelity because the sensor, at least for the main camera, is 48 megapixels. But for the other ones, they're only 12. So if you're doing digital zoom with those cameras, then you actually will be losing image fidelity.
Well, not technically, because I think it's cropping in on the sensor, but it's not like it's a digital zoom where it's like blowing up the pixels. Like the resolution is still in there. I think by default it takes 24 megapixel pictures. You have to switch it over to 48 if you want to capture the full 48. But the difference is that if you take a 48 megapixel picture instead of the default 24, then you're losing some low light performance because it can't combine the pixels as you normally would. So Apple recommends that for, day-to-day shooting, you use the, broadest setting at 24 megapixels instead. So in that case, when you zoom in from there, you're not actually losing resolution or clarity. It's just cropping in on the sensor.
Because check this out. So with the Pro Max, you get the 13 millimeter ultra wide, and then you get the 24 millimeter main camera, right? Which is a 48 megapixel sensor. But you're zooming from 24 millimeters. You're going to be using, it is digital zoom. You're going to be digital zooming from 24 millimeters all the way up until, 144 millimeters until the 5X telephoto camera kicks on. So that entire time you're going to be zooming digitally. And I can't imagine a scenario, I could be totally wrong about this, but you're going to be digitally zooming. So that's a big range to be digitally zooming up till.
It can smoothly crop in on the sensor up to 2X. And it can do that completely optically, because when you're at 2X, then it's just doing the sensor crop. But you are right in that between 2 and 5X, then it's using a digital zoom.
So really, if you're not, and this is just my opinion, if you're not planning on doing a lot of telephoto images, it's actually better just to get the regular 15 Pro, because the zoom ranges are tighter. The lens focal lengths are tighter together. And so you're not going to have like this big, huge range between the main camera and the telephoto camera, where if you want to zoom in and out between those two focal lengths, you're going to be doing digital zoom that entire duration for the Max. And maybe it won't make a difference on the photo quality, but I can't see how it wouldn't. If you're creating a 24 megapixel image and you're zooming more than 24 megapixels into the sensor, it's got to be cropping in and reducing the fidelity of the image in some way. I could be wrong, but that's the way it seems to work for me. And so for me, that actually makes me not want to buy the Pro Max, because I don't know how often I'm going to be 5X zooming in all the time. And then you have this big gap between the main camera and then the telephoto camera. Does that make sense? Maybe this is too esoteric.
I actually, even as somebody who abhors big phones and someone who wishes Apple made smaller phones with similar equipment, like the mini phone, again, with this camera hardware would be amazing. But even as someone who abhors big phones, I actually disagree with you there, in that I think I like the 0.5, 1, 2, and 5X combination better, because I find it's very rare that I want 3X or 4X. Like usually when I want to zoom in, I either want to go like 1 to 2, or what I'm trying to capture is so far away that 5X would be what I need. Like when I'm taking pictures with my wife's phone, I very rarely go for 3X. But, when I'm, in a city and I want to capture something enormously far away, or when I'm taking a landscape picture, or when I'm at the beach, I find myself wishing I could do 5X more than 3X or 4X.
So interesting question from Jack in the chat. He's saying, is it not starting with the 5X and going down digital to the 4X? No, it can't do that, because the 5X is zoomed in to this little square, and you're asking it to create pixels that are outside of its viewpoint perspective, right? I'm making that term up on the fly. So it has to go from the wider sensor to the narrower or the longer focal length. It can only work going from the lower to the higher. It cannot do the same thing going from the higher to the lower, because it can only see this little box, and you're asking it to see a bigger box. So it can't do that. So it's going to be all digital zoom. Maybe it won't matter. Just for me, I'm like, as somebody who uses zoom a lot between the ultra wide to the 3X, for me, I feel like it would be better for my use cases to have those focal lengths be closer together, because I'm not often jumping up to 5X. And if you lose the 3X, now when you're going from essentially 1X to 5X, you're saying it's 2X, but that 2X is also it's a digital manipulation. It's like, it's not an actual optical movement. And optical movements are always superior than digital movements, at least from what I've seen in cameras up until this point. Maybe they figured out some magic for it to not work that way. But I want to have as much optical movement and as little digital movement as possible. Again, maybe this is too esoteric.
We're way too in the weeds. Clarify it for you. And
Yeah.
that when you're taking a 2x picture,
Yeah.
you're getting a 12 megapixel image, just as you normally would today on your 14 Pro.
Right.
So when you do the 2x, you're getting a 12 megapixel image, just like you are today. And that is without any digital manipulation. It's just that's the sensor crop.
Yes, but the part that I
If you
think
were
that you're
trying to take a
missing,
24 megapixel image out of that, then it would be doing some, trickery.
but it uses all that. So it takes the 48 megapixels. Look, Lewis.
Can you
Lewis,
hear
can
my
you pull
head
us out of this
spinning?
thing?
I
Do
mean,
you have
my
any thoughts on the
God.
15 Pro to pull us out of this?
I'm sorry. Okay, let me just say this one last
God.
thing, and I swear we'll pull up on the stick. Okay, we're careening into the mountain, but I do think this is really interesting. So if you have a 48 megapixel sensor, it's using all that information from all those pixels to essentially mix them all together and create a really beautiful 24 megapixel image. But if you start cropping in on that 48 megapixels, it has way less information to create that beautiful 24 megapixel image. And so you are going to be losing quality because it just doesn't have as much information to use to create that 24 megapixel image. And actually, that's just for the main camera. That's 48 megapixels. The ultra wide and the telephoto are both 12 megapixels, I think. So, which adds a whole new element that I guess we shouldn't even talk about. Lewis's face that he's making, for those of you listening, is the same at the beginning of the show where where Mrs. D does the line about El Caney and it always takes a direction we don't want it to. It's the same face. So let's back up. I'm pulling up on the stick. All right.
Zoom out.
We're zooming out to ultra wide, and let me just ask you guys this. So we started off in the weeds, but what did you think of the actual iPhones themselves? Like the titanium, the colors, like any thoughts on that? Because I definitely have some. I definitely had some reactions to the way that they look and the new titanium look. Lewis, you say something, please. Please help us.
I thought they looked beautiful, man. I thought that titanium finish looked gorgeous. The colors, once again, kind of muted, but actually,
they said that the phones go through like a 14-hour process while they finish the titanium, and that must be the step where they suck all the color out of it.
Yeah, it starts off beautiful, and then they just end up with this plain look.
I didn't find the colors to be that abhorrent, though. I mean, I actually think they look better, for instance, than Mom's minivan blue. I mean. It's always interesting to see these things in person too. Like what's it actually going to look like? I mean, these glamour shots on the web and in their video presentations are one thing, and when you actually have it in your hand is another. But I thought the blue looks kind of good, kind of it's kind of a dark, good looking blue. I really like the way the edges look and the brushed finish on the titanium. I mean, at least again in those pictures, which God knows they want them to look good, right? But I thought it looked like a nice refinement to what we currently have. And I got to say, before I put a case on my 14 Pro, I was really feeling the edges of that thing gouging into my hand. I found it to be uncomfortable to hold for long periods of time. So I think having the more rounded edges is going to be a lot better, and maybe it can actually go without a case.
Yeah, that was a subtle thing that I don't know they actually talked about. Obviously, you can see from the images that they kind of rounded off the glass, so it bends, has like this arc that goes into the metal, which I thought was really kind of a beautiful look. What about you, Griffin? Thoughts on the colors? And are you upgrading actually? Because I know you were probably more on the fence than Lewis and I, coming from your 12 Pro. I always forget what model you have.
12 Pro,
The
that's
12 Pro.
right.
The radioactive one.
I want to confirm a few details if I were to order one first, because they're like I want to know what the minimum focus distance is on that main lens before I place my order. Because as I said, I think previously, the minimum focus distance on the main lens on the 14 Pro is like around like 8 inches or so. So if you're trying to focus on a subject that's closer than that, it's actually just using the ultra wide and cropping it in and lying to you. And the ultra wide camera is not nearly as good. So I remain in my previous position on the fence.
Okay. You're still riding the fence, yeah.
I will also say though, I'm very excited by the fact that they're so much lighter. Like from the people who went to the event and like held the phones in their hands and all that, they all say that it is a very noticeable difference in weight. And I think people maybe put too much credence in screen size alone and don't consider that the weight is also an incredibly important factor. Like these phones are incredibly heavy as they are right now. And the notion that they're so much lighter is really tempting to me as well.
Okay, I got to ask the
Yes.
chat. I'm so on the fence. I'm definitely getting one. I'm going, you know me. I like to go au natural, Lewis.
Natural titanium.
Au natural. Oh, yeah. That
Jeez, I
natural
just-
titanium look, the first thing I thought of when I saw it was Starlight. It looks like the Starlight color. It's like a champagne gold type color, which I have a water bottle that's that color. I used to have a car that was that color. I love it. I love that champagne gold look. And, you know, it's going to look just like my Apple Watch Ultra, which it almost has like this, like this color changing aspect to it where it reflects the color temperature of the room and like the area that you're in. Sometimes it looks silver to me, and sometimes it looks like it's a little bit gold. I think it's a really beautiful look, and that's the one for me. The blue, I'm just not a fan of blue things. I just don't like blue things.
I will say, I think the natural titanium looks good. I think that's the nicest metal out of the various metals, but I wish it still came with a black glass back on the back, because then it would, because then it would have sort of like that iPhone 4 look, you know, with like the silver edges and
Two-tone.
the black on the back.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that the glass on the back is still like that muddy color that looks like swamp water or something.
Khaki.
Swamp water. Wasn't swamp water like green? I think it has a beautiful minimalist, like monochromatic look. These are the kind of devices that are the colors that I usually go for. In fact, I can't show it to you now because my Apple Watch. You can't show the Apple Watch on camera, but I'm using like
Just
this
impossible.
monochromatic watch face that I recently found. Can I? Let's see if I can do it. No, that messed it
You
up.
got to start using the yoga
I
workout a
can't do it.
little more often.
Forget it. I know. If only I could dislocate my shoulder like Mel Gibson did in Lethal Weapon. And I could just like have my arm
jeez.
hanging here and I could show it to you. But I kind of like that minimalist one-tone look. In fact, we need to paint our house. And I've been trying to convince my wife that we should just paint the whole house black. Like it's a cool look for mid-century houses, which is what I have. And she's like, even the trim? I'm like, yeah. Two-toned houses, antiquated. It's not the in
There's
look right now. Like the
There's a
whole
song
thing.
about that.
Is there? About painting houses?
Yeah, paint it black.
Is there really? Well, I need to search for that on Spotify.
Cue it up.
Okay. I don't think it will help
A band
my
you
cause.
probably never heard of called the Rolling Stones.
Oh, well, I'll just leave that on in the background and hopefully affect her
Subliminally
subliminally.
trick her into
Yeah,
doing it.
exactly.
Good thinking.
She's not a fan right now. She doesn't want to do like the all one color. And I don't like having like the house be one color and the trim be another color. At least for my style of house, I don't think it's a cool look. But I'm definitely going to get one. I'm definitely going all natural because that's how I like to roll. But the question is, do I go max or do I go regular? So that's what I was
I
going to
feel
ask
like
the
you should
chat.
go max.
Oh, well, of course you feel like I should do it. Everyone wants you to go big or go home. But I got to ask the chat. Are we going big or small, guys? Are we going regular 15 Pro or are we going max? I'm just curious what you all are thinking. What about you, Lewis?
Well, I swore I'd never do it, but the zoom lens, I curse them for doing that.
So that's
I
the one that
actually want-
got you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't placed my order yet, obviously, because it's not the time to do it. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's super hard. It's super hard not to get the best camera possible. And by the way, all this talk about like, between 2x and 5. Do you really think Apple's going to create a camera that works less well? I don't believe it. I think they're wizards with this stuff. I think the camera is going to take great pictures, whatever you use it to do. I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
They did make a camera that worked less well. That was called the iPhone XS.
Did it? I
Boom.
don't even remember.
The tennis match. How could you forget the tennis match, Lewis? It
I remember
created
the
memes
name.
for months.
I don't remember.
That was the
camera.
one that had like that horrible HDR problem.
Well,
Did it? I don't recall that problem.
I would be stunned if this was a less good camera, especially than a 12.
I don't know. Well, time will tell. I mean, like I said, I'm on the fence. We got to make our decision. What the hell's the deal with this 5 a.m. pre-order thing going on?
I know.
When did we
Killing me.
switch from a midnight pre-order, which was, I think, doable, to a 5 a.m. Pacific time pre-order? Why do we need to have it be at 5 a.m.? It's
Because
ridiculous.
Tim Cook has already been awake for 2 hours.
It's your fault for living in the worst time zone in the world.
Well,
It's
Apple
a pleasant 8 a.m. for me.
is
Apple
kind of a
exists in this
loser time
time
zone, I
zone.
gotta say.
Cupertino is in my time zone. So why are they doing anyway? I just think it's absurd. So maybe I need to move to that. This is an omen that I need to move to Orlando so I can be closer to Disney World.
Yeah, should have flown back to Ohio just to order the phone.
Let's see here. Is there anything else on iPhone 15? I think that we pretty much covered everything. We got our opinions in. We talked about all the features. Obviously, USB-C is a huge bonus. What I didn't catch is, are the faster transfer speeds available for both the 15 Pro?
No,
Okay.
sir.
The Pro models have USB 3 speeds. The regular iPhone 15 models just have
Still
USB 2.
USB 2. That's what I thought. Okay, so I guess only with the Max can you record directly to an SSD because you couldn't do that obviously on
Well, also with the regular Pro phone, but it's exclusive to Pro phones.
Yeah, but you how could you do that with a regular Pro phone if it's limited to USB 2 speeds?
No, I mean, you said you only on the Max can you record to an external hard drive, whereas the regular 15 Pro does that as well.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh, okay. Sorry.
they both do it, but only the Max records at 10 gigabits per second. What's the transfer speed for the regular 15 Pro? It's 480 megabits per second, isn't it, or something?
No,
really-
I think it's also USB 3.
Yeah,
Okay,
I guess I
the
didn't.
the two Pro models have the faster data transfer.
Okay, wait a
Not just-
second. Didn't
not
you
just
just say that the 10 gigabits is only available for the Max version of the iPhone?
No, just
No.
only both Pro versions have that.
Okay, sorry, I must have
Phew.
misheard you because I
Wow,
thought you
crisis
just
averted.
said that only the Max iPhone 15 Pro can transfer at USB 3 speeds, but you're saying they both can do that.
And I think I misheard you when you said that you misheard me.
Wait, you heard me right? Did I just mishear you? No, sorry. Okay, we're doing who's on first here. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Lewis, please.
Well, I'm just curious about this action button. How useful is this actually going to be?
I think it's going to be hugely useful. What are you talking about?
Like, you have to program it for one thing, right?
Okay, well, you don't get that one
What do
thing now. The reason I think that this action button is going to be more useful than the Apple Watch Ultra, and actually, they need to add this feature to the Apple Watch Ultra. If you press the action button on the Apple Watch Ultra, it immediately activates whatever you have it programmed to do. What they need to do is make it work like it does on the iPhone, where you have to press and hold it for a second to make it work. Now, the reason that they don't do that, I think, on the iPhone or on the Apple Watch is because if you do that on the Ultra, it turns on like the emergency mode, and it gives you the ability to make emergency calls or turn on the alert beacon. But the reason I don't use the action button is because I'm constantly accidentally turning it on, because every time I bend my wrist, it presses the button. So if they want to make it useful, they have to make it work like the 15 Pro Max does, where you have to press and hold it for a second for it to actually do something. Then it's useful. You're not accidentally turning it on.
They could reassign the emergency feature of the Apple Watch Ultra to a double click rather than a press and hold. So that way press and hold is open for the
Yeah, or maybe
action
like a
button
double click and hold or something like that. I don't know. Maybe
about-
that's too complicated.
I mean, it
for
can't be
people.
too complicated because then people won't actually be able to
Wait,
activate
you
it in
gotta
an
do
emergency situation.
Morse code to click for H and then click for the E. You
What
gotta
if-
spell out help in Morse code, and then it works fine.
You just do a quadruple tap.
Okay, why not? Yeah, there you go. There's no quadruples taken up anywhere, right? Or maybe you just keep pressing it in a panicked state until it just activates. You know, it's like anytime the watch senses that your heartbeat has skyrocketed and you're pressing the action button as fast as possible. It's like, okay, you're sufficiently panicked to the point where we'll actually show you the emergency mode now. Triple tap and spin. There's another good one. There you go. See? Chat's in for the help.
Oh, jeez.
So I think that's everything. We sufficiently, I think, covered. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got. So let's move on from the iPhone 15 Pro. Now let's talk about Apple Watch, because I think the winner of the show was the Series 9, since it's practically an Apple Watch Ultra now. Like, they made it a really good watch to the point where There's very little difference now between the Series 9 and the Apple Watch Ultra, in my opinion. But
What?
let's talk about. I think so. They're practically the same in many ways. So let's talk about Apple Watch Series 9, and then I'll jump in here and talk about Apple Watch Ultra and how it's essentially the same thing now. But let's talk about 9 first, Lewis.
Yeah, so Series 9 comes with a faster S9 chip. Apple says it's going to boost the performance, make Siri more usable.
Yeah, that was funny, right? Hey, maybe it will work. Maybe it will actually work this time.
Possible.
Actually, what will happen is instead of getting it wrong when it sends it to the server, it will get it wrong on the neural engine. So it'll just take less time to get it wrong.
Right. More speedy, inaccurate actions. And also, one of the I hate to call it a highlight because it's borders upon parody, but this new double tap feature, right, or gesture, where you just tap your 2 fingers in midair, like some kind
I
of
thought
weird
that was
gang
pretty cool.
sign. I have really mixed emotions about it. I mean, like on the one hand, yeah, okay, I can use that to turn off a timer when my I'm cooking or something, and I've got my hands in some raw chicken. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that sounds cool. Maybe it's going to be great. I don't know. It's watching them talk about it made me, I don't know, I had this weird, like, I can't tell if this is cool or just ridiculous. And I don't know what it's going to be like to see people walking around going like this in the air. I mean, and my favorite thing, somebody on Twitter is like, how do Italian people do this? With the like, oh, anyway, let's see. So the other big thing in this is this ultra wideband chip, the second generation, not the U2 chip, just the second generation ultra wideband chip. But the real, I think the real boost here is that S9, which basically powers all these things, or at least that's what they say. It's this was amazing. 5.6 billion transistors, 60% more than Series 8, and a GPU that's 30% faster. This is the first like real performance boost that this thing has gotten in 4 years. I can't remember exactly how many. It's been a while, and it actually sounds like it's a much better chip. I mean, honestly, I haven't had that many problems with performance on my Apple Watch, but it does enable things like on-device Siri, which they say is going to be great. And frankly, I notice a lag with Siri sometimes. I think it'll be interesting to see if that actually works. If I say, "Hey, unlock my door," and it just does it rather than taking like anywhere from 5 seconds to 30 seconds. This is another thing. I don't know how important this is, but they said since it's on device, it's more secure. Now you can do things like enter health data, or ask it, hey, how fat am I today, or how fast is my heart rate, or you say, I just weighed myself and I weighed this amount. So, they're making steadily, as always, making this thing a little bit more helpful. That double tap gesture I was talking about, so you can use that. Basically, it's like touching, the active button or whatever in whatever app you're using, right? So if you've got an alarm going off, you tap. It's like I guess it's like maybe tapping the snooze on your morning wake up call.
Which could be dangerous, to be honest.
Right.
If you can just silence it that way.
What if you just learn to, like, in your sleep, just totally possible. This chip also has, a more powerful neural engine, all this stuff. I mean, it really sounds like they beefed up this processor a whole lot. They said that, and maybe you can explain exactly what this means, but it says because the neural engine can run a more advanced transformer model, dictation on Series 9 is up to 25% more accurate than on Series 8. The whole transformer model thing, I've read about this, I've brushed up against it. I'm not exactly sure what that means or why it's named after a Michael Bay movie. Do you know what transformer models are?
That's what they call machine learning features now.
Why do they call it that?
I know it's a very confusing name.
It's like the technical like computer science term that they use instead of calling it AI.
All right. Okay. Well, I actually, since it's capitalized and everything and all their press releases, I always thought that they, were trying to do an Apple thing where like, oh, it's Apple transformer. So you're saying that's widely used across the industry.
not widely used in marketing terms, but widely used amongst programmers who actually work on this sort of
People
thing.
who know this stuff. Okay, good,
Yeah.
fair enough.
It's
All right.
weird that they capitalize it because it's not a trademark.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. You know what? I think I made a mistake in my article. I think I thought that they said that there's a new optical sensor, but I don't think there is. I think it's the same old optical sensor for the heart rate, but they're saying that the
I
S9
think there actually is a new one.
I'm not sure. I've got to dig in deeper. I rewatched the segment on it, and it just the part that I interpreted as a new sensor, it was just saying it uses the sensor and the chip, the S9 chip and the neural engine works with the sensor to enable this double tap feature, which a lot of people are talking like, well, hey, isn't this double tap feature just like the what's it called, assistive touch that already exists on Apple Watch, as a accessibility feature? Supposedly, this is going to be limited to Series 9 and the new Ultra 2 because it needs this chip to function perfectly, right? But I think that maybe you can kind of mock up your own if you're stuck on one of those old Apple Watches. If you really must have the double tap gesture.
I mean, it does seem like it would be useful, to be honest with you. I feel like I would actually use it.
Griffin's going to have to do a how to fake double tap on your old Apple Watch. And by old, I mean a week old.
I double checked the press release and I see no mention of a new heart sensor, but I thought I remembered hearing that too. So
yeah, I think it was rumored to be happening, and I think that the way that they just, well, I mean, we all know they cram so much information into these things. I know for sure that what they said in the thing, because I double checked it, it says it works with the optical sensor. It did not say it works with a new optical sensor. So, that could be. I might have to actually post a correction on my post. It's kind of embarrassing.
That's unbelievable.
Anyway,
you need to flog yourself.
I'm going to fire myself.
Well, look, I don't know if you brought this up, but did you mention the display?
Oh, yeah.
That's like one of the biggest
Let me get to that.
components of this.
Okay, yeah. A 2,000 nit display, double the brightness of Series 8, which is going to be great when you're outdoors.
That's also the same the same nit brightness as the current Apple, or I guess the previous Apple Watch Ultra.
Yeah, that old
This
Apple
old
Watch
crappy one.
if you have one of those
throw away.
garbage Ultra 1.
Which actually, I mean, when you're outside with the Ultra, you can see the screen so well. So that's a huge feature to be able to actually see your display in bright sunlight. And this is the same. It's probably the same display as the one in the Apple Watch 1. Sorry, go ahead.
And so when I get the Apple Watch Ultra, I'm going to look at it outdoors, and it's just going to like laser my eyes out, right? I'm going to be like,
you mean the new one?
Bright, because the new one's 3,000 nits.
I know.
That's 50% more nits.
Oh, man. I don't know if I could resist that many nits, to be honest with you.
The other thing that they were talking about is that the Series 9 screen can go down to only 1 nit.
Really?
Nit.
That is going to be awesome in movie theaters for all those people who don't know about theater mode who leave their watches on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
and
it's
also
super bright,
just leaving
super dim.
Hold on, I just wanted to add just real quick, like also if you wear your watch to bed and you don't want to put it in sleep mode. I hate sleep mode. It's so stupid. Like sleep mode should just dim the watch so that you can still see it, but it's still always on, as opposed to what it does now where it churns off the watch essentially. You have to like tap it. No, you have to press like the button, don't you, to activate like
press and hold.
That's so dumb. I mean, when you're asleep, the last thing you want to do is press and hold a button to see what time it is. So now I put my watch in theater mode so I can just tap the screen. But it would be really useful to have the ability for it to get really dim so you could still see it at night, but not be bright enough that it wakes you up. Sorry.
I will also say, in reference to maximum brightness, I think I have the Series 7, and I don't feel like it. I feel like I can still read it perfectly fine in broad daylight, but it could just be that I have young eyes that can see very well, and the sun doesn't get very bright in Ohio. But I will do some testing on that when. I guess I'll reveal now. My wife wanted the Series 9, so I placed an order. I'll be writing the review on that. So I'll be stealing it for a week to write the Cult of Mac review before I give it off to her. But because it's
you getting that pink one?
She wanted the pink.
Oh,
yes.
Good. Well, take plenty of pictures.
Fabulous review.
That'll match your rosy cheeks.
There we go.
Nice. Well, Lewis is going to be getting one too. It's not for his wife. Lewis, which one are you going to get? The Ultra? Are you finally going to commit?
What do you mean? Am I gonna? The order's placed. It arrives 1 week from tomorrow.
Well, look
I
at
didn't get one of the bands that's gonna, get it delayed for a month and a half.
Man, you're making me want to get the Ultra too.
Did you get one of the bands that are going to kill the Earth?
They are
Or did you
Earth
get
killers.
I don't know if it told me if it was a green band. I can't remember. Yeah, that was I don't even want to talk about the environment. I guess we should talk about it at least briefly. They're saying this is like the first carbon neutral Apple product, right? Certain ones of these, depending on what band you get. I'm guessing like if you get like the Ocean band, no way, because that's made of something plasticky.
Oh my goodness. We have a whole segment for this coming up. I mean, like this whole move away from leather, I think is just totally bizarre. And when we get into the details of their new FineWoven cases and straps, I'm like, this is truly perplexing to me that you're making this move. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but because the FineWoven bands are made of plastic, which I think is very weird to move away from a natural substance that decomposes to a substance that's made of plastic or fossil fuels. I just think this is so strange. But we can talk about that. Are we done with Apple Watch Series 9? Can I talk about Ultra?
Fine with me.
Okay. There's not a lot to say because the Ultra is essentially the same as the Apple Watch Series 9 now. Whoops, I lost my my notes here. Hold on. Let me bring this up so that we can have something pretty to look at.
Bold stance to take. I'm very confused. I can't wait to hear you explain.
So
the
look,
one thing we didn't say 64 gigabytes of storage.
Yep.
Who cares?
Well, if you're going to be carrying
right?
podcasts and stuff with you, then that's useful. But look, this is not to bash the Ultra. I still think it's an incredible watch, and obviously it has an aesthetic that I think alone warrants the price because it looks so much better than the regular Apple Watch does. But it has the same S9. It has double tap. It has the same 64 gigabytes of storage. By the way, no other color other than titanium, which was kind of surprising. But
that was the biggest heartbreak of the entire show.
And this,
because I really wanted it in black.
You did? Yeah, that would have been cool to have. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do an extra color, but I mean, especially considering they have the titanium iPhones in other colors. Like, why not just give a space black version? You already have the alloy already made, right? Yeah, probably. But it has the same performance. It has a brighter screen, so it gets to 3,000 nits instead of 2,000, so it is better in that way. But aside from the screen, it's essentially the exact same as the S.
It has a few extra parts. It has a bigger screen. It has a significantly bigger battery. It goes up to 72 hours if you're on the low power mode. But another thing that I'm almost kind of surprised that they didn't bring to the regular Apple Watch is that you still have to get an Apple Watch Ultra if you want the dual band GPS, which is much more accurate than like the single band GPS that's in the iPhone and the regular Apple Watch this year.
Those are all great points. I guess a better way to say it would be they gave the regular Apple Watch a much bigger upgrade than the Apple Watch Ultra, and they're closer together now than they were before, a lot closer together. So you're getting a lot of the same benefits of the Ultra now in the regular Apple Watch, which is great because it's obviously less expensive. I still think the Ultra is the one for me because of the aesthetic, because of the dual band GPS, because of the larger screen. The battery life is obviously a lot better. The question is it worth upgrading from the first generation Ultra to the second? Because it's a very minimal upgrade this year. Like, you're getting the extra screen brightness, you're getting some more storage space, and you're getting double tap. But
Siri on your device.
You're going to get faster, inaccurate responses from Siri on your device. Although, what does the Apple website say? This is great. Where did they? Oh, yeah. So on the website, they say seriously capable. With Series 9, Siri requests processed on your device are faster and more secure. Siri dictation is up to 25% more accurate, Lewis. Not 25% more accurate, but there's some instances where it's up to 25% more accurate. So you might get it right more of the time.
I don't use dictation on my watch very often, to be quite honest. And when I do, it actually seems to get it already. The phone, which I use it on day after day after day, is inaccurate as can be in ludicrous ways. But I don't know. I'm curious to see if it's snappier on these new watches. That's going to be worth a lot. If it actually responds immediately when you say set a timer or unlock the door. That's a big one. Or turn on the lights. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I say turn on the lights and it takes like one time it'll be instantaneous, and the next time it's like 15 seconds standing there in the dark. It's like, how is this possible? I mean, I'm very curious. If it's good, that'll be a great upgrade.
Oh, man, you're gonna make me buy an Apple Watch Ultra too.
It'll be actually what they said. We believe you'll use these things every day. And that's what this is all about. But both of these things is just making these devices just a little bit better, making everything that you do just a little bit easier, right? I mean, these aren't radical changes. And I mean, you saying that like the Watch 9 is now like the Ultra. I mean, last year they had the same chip. I don't see how they're anywhere near the same watch. I mean,
I guess all I mean is the similarities are a lot closer now that the Apple Watch Ultra has. Huh?
How?
Well, it has the much brighter screen, which I think is definitely a big one in my opinion. I guess you're right. They did have the same level of performance last year, didn't they? So maybe the performance is actually not, or the performance being the same is actually not that, actually not a big issue at all because it was last year. For some reason in my mind, I thought that the Apple Watch Ultra was faster than the Series 8 was, but that's actually not the case. So maybe they aren't.
I mean, I have never had the Apple Watch Ultra. I'm still wondering if I'm going to be returning it because I don't know.
So.
They look pretty gigantic, but it's got a lot of different features. Or both versions have a lot of features that differentiate it from the regular watch. I mean, tons if you think about it. And now there's even a new watch face. Gee whiz.
And that new watch face, I wonder if they're going to bring it to the Apple Watch.
Yes.
They're going to bring it to the Apple Watch 1 or the Apple Watch Ultra 1.
Yes.
They are.
Yeah,
when are they doing
you
that?
Get it.
It's in the
Right.
it's in the release
iOS
candidate of
17.
WatchOS.
Is that the one that released
WatchOS.
yesterday?
Yes.
The release candidate, yes.
Okay, because it wasn't available in the betas before the release candidate, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, because I tried to find it and I couldn't see it, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I wonder if they're going to bring this to." Oh, okay, so it is in there. So I just need to create a new watch face. Okay, well that gives me maybe a little bit less reason to upgrade, but
It's gonna be 50% dimmer though.
Well, that is a problem for me. I don't like things that are dim. You know that. All right, look. We got to move on here because we got a bunch of stories still left at. Oh my goodness, I don't even know if we're gonna have time to finish all this stuff. But let me just really quickly plug CultCloth.co. CultCloth.co. This is the time of year where the orders just come flooding in. If you're getting yourself a brand new iPhone, if you're getting yourself a new Apple Watch Ultra, this is the time to pick up the best cleaning cloth that exists at CultCloth.co. If you want to keep your device sparkling clean, and not just your Apple Watch or your iPhone, but these cloths clean every surface and leave nothing behind but sparkling glass, metal, and the wood. I was just telling Lewis, I ordered a guitar from Guitar Center last week, and I ordered a brand new guitar, and they sent me a quote-unquote brand new model from the floor, right? So it's been sitting on the floor for like a year getting played. And the manager of the store, actually wasn't the manager, it was one of the employees. I talked to the manager later. Somebody from the store called me to let me know that they were shipping me a floor model and to call them back if that wasn't okay. I call him back an hour later, and he's like, "Oh, I already got it boxed up. It's going out to you today." And I'm like, "I don't want the floor model." And he's like, "Oh, we looked over this whole guitar. It looks great." So I was like, "There's no scratches or anything on it?" He's like, No, it plays great. It looks great." So they shipped me this thing. It shows up. It is covered with fingerprints and handprints. Just the most fingerprinty surface I have literally ever seen. You could not even see the finish of the guitar. So Lewis was joking with me. He's like, "Did you wipe it down with CultCloth?" I'm like, "You know what, Lewis? I actually did wipe it down with CultCloth. I wiped the whole thing down. I brought it back to its mirror finish. And lo and behold, what did I find? Scratches on it. The guitar jack completely broken. And I'm getting ahead of myself here. This is a whole story I wasn't planning on telling. But if not for the CultCloth, I probably wouldn't have known, at least as fast as I did, that there were scratches on this thing, and now I'm going back and forth with Guitar Center on what to do about this, because I use like rewards points to buy it. Anyway, it's this big ordeal. CultCloth works great on everything. Camera lenses, cameras, and the CultCloth Duo has the long fibers you need to reach down into the cracks and crevices of your devices, your glasses, your sunglasses, and pull out the dirt that other cloth just push off into those cracks. And everyone knows, Lewis, you can't have a dirty crack. You got to keep those cracks cleaned.
It's not advised.
So if you get a new device, consider getting a CultCloth along with it. Go to CultCloth.co, CultCloth.co. Use code CultCast at checkout. You'll score yourself 2 free carry cloths with any order $20 plus. And you'll be happy to keep your devices in new-looking condition like I do. CultCloth.co. Okay, let's move on. Let's hammer out a couple of these, or some of these quick stories. Oh, do we even want to talk about iPhone 15? Does anyone even care? Actually, before we do that, Lewis, I almost forgot. You want to talk about the giveaway real fast?
I'll just run down it. It's
Let's
the
just do it
same
real
giveaway
quick.
we had last week. You've got about 3 more days to get in there. This is for a carbon fiber case and band combo for Apple Watch. You can get it for Apple Watch Ultra. You can get it for, I think, Series 8. I can't remember. One of the there's only a couple of models, but if you got an Apple Watch Ultra, or you just ordered an Apple Watch Ultra 2, like a winner does, you go immediately to our website, Cultimax, scroll down to the giveaway area, enter to win this cool looking combo. It's made of carbon fiber. It's lightweight, super protective. Price package totally worth in total is worth $150. This is from Lulu Look. I don't know if you know this company, but we do a lot of giveaways with them because they make good stuff. Like I said, you got 3 days. This is a black carbon fiber, cool looking combo you're just gonna love it. And the price is absolutely right. Free, go enter, free, and get your hat in the ring. I'm still we're up there now. We got 308 entries now, which is still, honestly, I'm a little,
that's better, but
I'm a little surprised. It should be like 3,000 minimum.
Yeah. Well, the odds are in people's favor. That's what I like to say. They don't even want to try because they think that they don't have a chance. But I always tell people, you got a chance. You got a chance this time. You got a chance with this one. So I'll put a link in the chat and in the show notes for you all if you want to go enter that. And then, of course, you can access the giveaway by just going to cultimac.com. Did you already say this, Lewis? Sorry if you did. And then scrolling down until you see the giveaway. Click on that. Boom! Giveaway city, baby. Population U. Okay. Let's talk about iPhone 15. There's not a lot to say here. It's a big old snooze fest. No one who listens to this show is going to be getting an iPhone 15. And if I find out that you did, then I will be blocking your IP address to future shows. But look at those beautiful colors. These are some of the best colors I've seen for any iPhone, in my opinion. Look at that beautiful pink, that nice yellow color. It's like a soft yellow. So look, these are essentially repackaged iPhone 14 Pros. So you're getting the 48 megapixel camera, main camera. You're getting the A16 Bionic. So it's going to have good performance, obviously not cutting edge. But
Dynamic Island.
You get the Dynamic Island now. You get the much brighter screen. I forget what the screen nits are. Is it 2,000 nits?
I think it was $2,000.
$2,000 nits? Okay.
I think. I'm not 100% sure. But
I'm always a big fan of that because it's just such a practical feature. Like if you're able to see your phone better in bright sunlight, that's obviously very useful if you're taking videos or something like that. Still no promotion. It's going to be limited to 60 hertz refresh rate. But if you want an iPhone 14 Pro for a much lower price, then this is a great phone. And obviously you have a ton of colors to choose from. I don't know if there's anything else to say about this. Any other things that you guys think is worth mentioning besides that? $799.
It has a lot of the same new camera features that the Pro models get. You also get 24 megapixel photos. You also get the new portrait mode features and the second generation ultra wideband chip, which is only actually useful if you also have a new Apple Watch as well. But I think for $799, it's a great value.
Yeah, and if you want the larger display, you could pay $899 and not have to go up to $1,200 for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Of course, you don't get all the super new features, but a lot of people don't care about that kind of stuff. They just want like a nice phone that has a big screen. So this is going to be a great phone for those people.
Did you
Not for
catch
us,
them
though.
saying like, oh well, it's got this all these new features and it still has the same all day battery life.
They did a lot of that. And I know there are some people in the chat saying that this event was underwhelming. I get why you're saying that. Because there was some of that happening. It's like, oh, it still features the same this, still features the same that. You know, it's
Still
like,
gets all day. I heard that and I
Yeah.
just laughed out loud. I charge my phone at least twice a day. It is not all day. I mean, I guess it's all day if you don't use it. If you just carry it around in your back pocket like a paperweight, sure, it'll last a week if you don't use
well,
it.
also once your phone is at a year old, the battery life drops like 10 or 12%. Like you only really get that full battery life capacity for not even the first year. It drops so fast. I mean, and then it takes a long time for it to drop, more. But I feel like, and we've talked about this before, like it feels like the biggest part of the drop is front loaded. Like in the first year, your capacity might drop 10 to 13%, and then it might take 2 more years for it to drop another 7%. But so yeah, I'm charging my phone at least 2 or 3 times a day right now because I use it so much.
Well, you won't need to charge it as much if you have it on standby, which is a lovely new feature that's coming by.
The standby mode.
Yeah,
So what now?
leave your phone on standby where you have to like have it charged on like a MagSafe stand or like plugged in. Then you won't notice that the battery drains because it'll be charging all day, but you'll have standby.
Ruining your battery. I really wish that they let you choose how much you want your battery to be charged to up until a certain time. Like the optimized battery feature, I wish they would let you give input into how you want that to work and not just do it for you automatically. I'm not going to go on and on about that because obviously I've talked about that before. But okay, let's talk about AirPods Pro 2. Griffin, we got some AirPods updates here.
Yep. This is a new version of AirPods Pro 2. I say it's a new version of AirPods Pro 2 because they did not come out with AirPods Pro 3. This is a revision of the existing model, and they didn't change the number, even though there's a few new things. It has the USB-C charging case, an improved dust resistance, and if you pair it with Apple Vision Pro, you get lossless audio, apparently. I don't think anybody has like confirmed with Apple that you don't get that if you still have AirPods Pro 2 with a Lightning case. So I don't know if like that actually made changes to the buds themselves like that.
I actually saw that, you won't believe it, Mark Gurman from Bloomberg said that Apple has confirmed to him that it does not work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, did they make some little tweak? Is there
They
some
must have made some kind of hardware tweak.
Yeah. So
So
anyway,
just to reiterate for those of you who didn't catch it. So the AirPods Pro 2, the newer version, they obviously have the USB-C capability in the case, but they're the only ones that will give you lossless audio with the Apple Vision Pro. The previous AirPods Pro 2 with the Lightning case do not do that, according to Gurman. So if you're planning on getting the Vision Pro, then, I mean, does it matter? I don't know. Are you going to be able to tell that it's lossless? I don't know, man. Most 98% of people probably can't tell, but
if you're spending $3,500 on the Vision Pro, then you won't.
It doesn't matter if you can tell. You just need to
buying
know.
a slightly newer version of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, unlike when Apple made the revision to the original AirPods with the wireless charging case and made the wireless charging case backwards compatible and sold it on the online store separately, you can't do that this time. If you want the new USB-C charging case, you have to buy the whole set for $250, which is kind of weird. Like, what makes them incompatible with each other that way, that they can't sell the case separately?
Well,
It's
that's an
weird.
easy one. Apple's marketing department. Apple's marketing department made them incompatible.
Apple's bean counting department.
Yeah, they want to make sure that people have an ample motivation to buy the new. This is just me.
But is that going to work on it? Who cares that much about USB-C? They're going to spend $250 just to get USB. Like, I don't think that would work.
Well, I think that the upgrade here is so minimal that a lot of people probably won't care.
They would make more money if they made it backwards compatible, because then they'd be selling the $69 charging case.
I think eventually, I would be surprised if eventually they did not sell the case. They just don't sell it yet. Like in the next 3 months, I wouldn't be surprised if they just quietly released the updated case on their website, because it really doesn't make that much of a difference, or doesn't make that much sense for them to not do that. But
that's a possibility I hadn't considered. Anyways, that's pretty much all there is to say.
Okay, I put these
If you
stories.
want to buy AirPods right now, it's a good time to buy AirPods. I'm
Well, I would
considering
wait
AirPods
if
Pro.
you're going to buy AirPods. I would wait till November because at this point we're so close to Black Friday that you're going to start seeing deals galore. In the next couple months. Let's see here. I should have put these iPhone stories first. So we got a couple of more features on iPhone that we should have talked about before we moved to AirPods. You want to talk about this USB-C charging feature, Lewis? Because I actually thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah. So if you got the right cable, you plug this. You plug your AirPods Pro 2 with the USB-C charging case into your brand new iPhone with USB-C port. You can actually charge your AirPods from your phone. You could charge your Apple Watch from your phone. So basically your iPhone becomes, with all that excess battery life that you got, your iPhone is now a charger for your AirPods Pro 2 or Apple Watch, assuming you've got the right USB-C cable.
I mean, it's pretty cool. You could have your iPhone connected to MagSafe and then use the USB-C port to charge your AirPods. So you could be charging both of them at the same time. Or you could be charging your Apple Watch from your iPhone while it's charging from MagSafe.
Or you could buy a MagSafe charger that actually will charge your iPods or AirPods. I don't know.
I haven't done that yet.
I could see in it. What? You got to get one.
Oh, actually, I take that back because my MagSafe charger from my iPhone will actually work with my AirPods. I just never use it that way. I never even think about it.
I could see this coming in handy. You forget to charge your AirPods and they're dead like mine always are, and you're on a commute or something. Okay, well, just charge them up. Okay, great.
We got Corbin from the chat. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say what it is it shows the benefit of this switch to USB-C, or not the benefit, a benefit. It's a better standard. Anybody who's upset about it. I read some, I think Daring Fireball is like, oh yeah, they're gonna have people are gonna get outraged about this. How could anybody be upset about this? I mean, I understand that maybe somebody might be, but I mean, I couldn't be happier.
It's way more useful. It's way more practical. Corbin from the chat saying, I wonder if my iPad Pro can charge those devices. The answer to that is yes. I do it all the time. So I think the way it works is the battery with the larger, or the device with the larger battery can charge items with the smaller battery. So if you plug your iPhone into your iPad Pro, it will charge it. If you plug your AirPods into your iPad Pro, it will charge your AirPods. If you plug your iPad into your MacBook Pro, it will charge your iPad. So I think it just depends on how big the battery in the device is, as to what it can charge. As long as the batteries are smaller, I think the bigger battery will charge the smaller battery. In fact, I was telling Lewis,
there's a secret hierarchy apparently.
There is some secret charging pyramid that they use to plan these features. I was on a vacation. I forgot my MacBook Pro charger. Thankfully, someone on the trip had one to lend me, but then when they were using it, I couldn't use it, obviously. And my iPad was dying, so I charged it into my MacBook Pro, and my MacBook Pro charged my iPad almost all the way up. It was almost dead afterwards, but it still worked, so that's pretty useful. Let's see. The other feature that people were tweeting at me, which I thought was hilarious because I complained that there's no way to watch 4K iPhone content on any Apple device. Well, there is a way, actually. And now there's two ways. Neither way is convenient, or neither way is the way it should work. So the ability of your iPhone 15, or I guess the USB-C port on your iPhone 15 Pro, allows you to stream 4K content from your iPhone directly to anything that supports DisplayPort. And I wonder if you could do this with HDMI, like if there's a USB-C to HDMI cable that you could buy to do this. But starting with these new phones, you can now connect your iPhone 15, and that's all models, not just the Pro models. And they can output video at 4K 60 hertz to a DisplayPort-equipped external display or TV with a supported USB-C to DisplayPort cable. So I had one guy tweet at me. He's like, "See, like now you can stream 4K content to your TV," and I'm like, no, you can only do that if your phone has the video stored locally on the phone. If it's stored in iCloud, I don't think that actually works. You're still not going to be streaming at 4K because you're still streaming it from iCloud. So the only way that you can stream 4K video is to have the 4K video on your device and have that device connected to a 4K display, whether that's a Mac.
As soon as you tap on a video though, then you'll see like the little cloud icon in the bottom right corner, and it'll download it. Like it'll play in the lower quality as at first, but as soon as you tap play, it'll download the full quality version.
Does it do
if
it in
I'm
real
not
time, or
mistaken.
do you have to download it first before you stream it? Because on the
It'll
Mac,
do it in real time. You can start
Okay.
playing it, and then after a second, like you'll see the image like get less fuzzy and get more clear, and that's when it switches over to the higher quality version.
but your phone isn't 4K, so I don't think it's playing a video in 4K resolution on your phone because you don't have a 4K display on your phone. So
If you're doing a display out, then it might do. I mean, I can't verify.
well, that's
because
what I'm
I
wondering.
don't have
Like,
an iPhone
would it
15,
do it in
but I'm
real
saying-
time, or would you have to download the entire video? I think you have to download the entire video on your device, just like you do with the Mac, and then it will stream it at 4K connected to your TV. But the thing is the Mac and the phone are different. So maybe you're right. Like maybe the phone will play it in 4K as it tries to figure out what your bandwidth speed is. Regardless, still a terrible way to stream 4K to your device. The way it
I
should
will
work.
say that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll just say this real fast. Everyone's heard me say it. I'm not going to go on and on about it. But the way it should work is you buy an Apple TV 4K, and guess what it does? It streams your content at 4K, especially your iCloud content, because it's all stored in iCloud at 4K. In fact, people are filling up their iClouds with so much storage that Apple had to double, triple, and quadruple the storage options for people. Sorry, Griffin, go ahead.
I will say, I think you pondered out loud if USB-C to HDMI cables are a thing. They are. I bought one for my wife's MacBook Air because we took that MacBook Air to a hotel room and we wanted to plug it into a TV. I went to Walmart and I bought a USB-C to HDMI cable. Whether it'll work in the, I assume it would work in the iPhone as well, but I'm not sure.
Okay, well, someone's saying in the chat, Chad saying, if I plug an iPhone 14 to an iPhone 14, will they both charge? No, that would probably open up a wormhole in which you'll be sucked into another dimension. So definitely don't do that.
Careful.
You want to be careful on how you connect these things. Okay, let's talk about Apple's new FineWoven, quote unquote, FineWoven material. Look, man, I'm just perplexed by this choice, and I am disappointed because I think that leather is a really beautiful material that has a unique aesthetic as it ages. It has like that beautiful patina that is developed over time, which is a very unique aesthetic. Indiana Jones looked cool in his leather hat. How would you like him if he was wearing a polyester hat? Like, there's just something cool about leather. And what I don't get is that in an effort to be more eco-conscious, Apple is getting rid of leather and moving to these fine woven bands. Now, look, these fine woven bands are probably beautiful, but they are made from, all the research I've done, they're made from nylon and they're made from polyester, which are obviously not natural materials and don't decompose like natural materials do. Like leather decomposes. It's made of animal skin. And so I am truly perplexed by this choice, because if you're talking about sustainability, you're moving from a natural resource, which decomposes, to one that probably takes hundreds of years to decompose. Now, they are using recycled material in the sport loops and the fine woven bands and cases. I don't know. There are different percentages depending on what band you're looking at, but they're still using plastic, essentially. And this plastic doesn't decompose. So does this make sense to anyone else? I mean, like, I just don't understand it. And I think it's a weird move, and it's not a move that I'm happy that they're making, because I think leather products have a beautiful class to them that is just not matched by plastic products.
It is a weird look that in the same keynote where they talk about their, net zero initiatives, how you can buy an Apple Watch that's now completely carbon neutral. It's weird that in that same keynote, they would introduce a new kind of band that doesn't meet those standards. Like, if you configure an Apple Watch with a fine woven band, I'm pretty sure like the green leaf carbon neutral mark goes away. Like, why would it's a weird thing to introduce at the same time. But from what I've heard of, I mean, I haven't seen FineWoven. I didn't purchase any of those bands. But from what I've heard from people who went to the event, they say that it does like sort of have a similar sort of look to it.
I mean, essentially it's pleather, right?
Yeah.
Or quote unquote
Well,
vegan leather, like all the cases you see on Amazon. They're like it's leather, and then asterisk vegan leather. And vegan leather, there's no such thing as vegan leather. It's plastic that you're using.
I don't think it is like that similar to vegan leather. Like vegan leather doesn't have like a woven texture to it. It tries to replicate like the sort of skin pattern of leather, and their fine woven things are like markedly different. But
I'm not saying that FineWoven is a bad material. Like, I'm looking at pictures of it, and it actually looks really beautiful. Like, it looks like suede. And so I think that I would probably be happy with a band like this. I'm just saying it's just an odd choice to me to move from a natural resource that is commonly available. Like, they make it seem like they're growing the cows just for their skin, but people eat beef. So the entirety of the cow is used in different ways. Like, the meat's obviously eaten, the skin is used for leather products. So it seems like the leather is available because of all these other reasons. Like, the entirety of the cow is being used. Whereas now they are going to be making more plastic products that may be made of recycled material, but they will eventually end up in a landfill where they will sit for hundreds of years and not decompose. So I think it's an odd look, and it doesn't seem like it's sustainable to me, and it doesn't seem like it's good for the environment to be creating even more plastic products. But again, that's just me. I don't have a problem with the FineWoven. Like I said, they look like they're beautiful. And I wouldn't
be people like you can still buy third-party leather products. You'll still be able to buy a leather iPhone case. There's so many of those, and I guarantee that they will look and feel virtually identical to Apple's own products, because now those are free to like copy to no end.
And I noticed that Hermes was quick to announce their own leather straps. Apple won't be selling them, but they will be. And Hermes has like this totally bizarre looking strap that they're offering through Apple. It looks like it's fluoroelastomer. And I'm like, who wants to pay? I don't know how much a Hermes strap costs. Was it like $900 or something? But like, who's going to pay for a high-end plastic watch strap? You know what I mean? That just doesn't compute. It's like a bizarre contradiction. It's like, it's high-end, but it's made from plastic. Things that are high-end are not made from plastic. So they're trying to go with the flow and create this new strap type for Apple, but would you pay $800 for a strap made of fluoroelastomer just because it has Hermes stamped on it? Maybe people would, but I think that's kind of...
I don't think they cost that much, but...
Maybe they're less. That's the other thing, too. Like, FineWoven, from a quality perspective, doesn't seem like it would command the same price as a leather product does, because leather products are usually higher quality, more expensive. Sean from the chat saying that Lewis would look good in one of these purple or these orange Hermes straps. Have you considered this, Lewis?
Which one is that? The
bracelets.
Oh yeah, right.
For it.
I don't know. It's a bold look.
Well, that describes you. So there you go. Like
those things. Just to be clear, those watch bands, those Hermes watch bands, are $349. All the ones on there, except like a couple of them are $449. So they're not whatever libelous high amount you just mentioned, but still, that's
you
a
don't
lot
think
of money.
$349 for a plastic?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying it's a lot of money, and I would never pay that much money. I'm just saying it's not quite as much as you feared.
Yeah, it's not $1,000.
You can back away from the ledge.
I almost lost it, Lewis. I almost lost it.
I'm with you on this thing, though. I like the leather stuff. Although, I mean, Apple's leather cases, I never found them to be the best leather cases. In fact, I mean, do you really like Apple's cases? It seems like to me they are more expensive and less durable than other brands.
I would agree with you there. The only reason I got into Apple leather cases is because when I found out that the carriers would liquidate them every time a new phone came out, you could get them for $14, $15. And I'm like, the Apple leather case is definitely worth that price.
Yeah,
and I got one for my wife, and it's really a nice case. It's not the best case I've ever used, for sure. But for $14, $15, I was like, yeah, this is definitely worth it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Apple may not be offering leather products. Obviously, everyone else in the Apple ecosystem is going to continue offering leather products, and their leather products are probably better than Apple's anyway. So, whatever. But I just thought it was a weird choice to do that. I'm like,
yeah,
how do they get it in their mind that moving away from leather to a plastic is a good choice for the environment? That just was truly confounding to me.
It said that the FineWoven stuff is 68% post-consumer recycled.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. I mean, so at least they're using some recycled stuff. I mean, that was maybe the one. This leather deal was maybe the one part of that little Mother Nature skit that they did that I, because they're really dissing on the leather. They even made fun of some guy for wearing a leather jacket. I'm like, there is something to be said about using all of the cow.
Yeah, and that whole dissing that guy with the leather jacket, I thought that was a bad look too. Like, it came off as very pious to me.
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah,
like, now all of a sudden you're too good for leather. You've been selling leather this whole time. And
Right.
now the guy who showed up in the leather jacket is like this huge D-bag. Yeah, like, come on. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I thought that was the one part of that.
It was
thing
off-putting to me.
Like, yeah, I found that a little bit annoying.
Now, look, I don't think leather jackets are that cool. There probably are some out there that are cool. Indiana Jones, I go back to the Indiana Jones reference. But you can't clown the guy for wearing a leather jacket. Like, dude, people have been wearing leather jackets for, thousands, tens of thousands of years. Before we had FineWoven, guess what people wore?
Right.
They wore leather.
Yeah.
Where do you buy a FineWoven jacket, Airphone?
I don't know. I got to see it first. This green one looks pretty nice.
I think the FineWoven stuff looks good, huh? I'm not sold on just the pictures. To me, it looks, I don't know.
I do think that
weird.
it looks cheaper than leather does. Leather, again, has a really beautiful classic look to it. And I'll have to see. It's hard to tell from the pictures, but it just looks like a synthetic band, like the kind that you would see on Amazon. I'm sure Apple probably did it very nicely. And I'm not opposed to it again. I mean, whatever. If it looks good, it looks good. But there's something about that satin sheen to a weathered leather strap or a jacket or a hat or something that just looks, it has like a really beautiful aesthetic to it. That patina tells a story. But we got to keep going here because we're running low on time.
We're rapidly running out of
We
time.
still haven't talked about iCloud Plus, and we have our Wonderlust prediction results, which I definitely want to get to because
we should probably just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hit that music.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let me at least do the iCloud story first. I mean, as soon as they retired all other products, which is something that I know that I called out in the predictions, I was like, dude, I think I won. But who knows? So obviously the ones that made the nips go boing was how they just casually dropped the fact that they're finally, after all this time, expanding iCloud Plus storage capacities. So I'm sure you all already know this already, but I'll just fill you in case you didn't hear or weren't aware of the details. Let me pull this up. No, those are the web results. Do I even have this anywhere? Let me go ahead and just pull this up really quick. Let me cut to Lewis real fast while I open this story. Oh, never go full Lewis. Never go full Lewis. iCloud Storage Plus capacities expand at 12 terabytes. So they're keeping the same 50, 200, and 2 terabyte class tiers. And of course, instead of jumping to 4 terabytes for an extra $10 a month, no. They're going to offer you 6 terabytes for triple the price. So this is the part that annoys me. It's like, so as soon as you get past 2 terabytes, now you got to pay Apple for 6 terabytes. But of course, it's going to take you a while to fill that. So you're paying them for all this storage that you're not actually using. The same goes for the 12 terabyte.
So I'm
tier.
to understand
Yeah.
that they gave you exactly what you wanted and that you can buy
I
more
don't
storage
like their
without buying Apple One, but you're complaining that they gave you too much storage?
No, I don't like their implementation. They did this in a way where they have you paying for more storage than you're going to use. I'm still happy they did it. But I don't like the way that they did it because it was built to maximize profit. But you know what?
You're kidding me.
I own Apple stock. This works in my benefit, so I got to keep telling myself that. So if you want to graduate past the 2 terabyte tier, you may now do so. So there is no discount for the higher levels of storage. So like I said, the 2 terabyte option is $10. The 6 terabyte option is $30. So they essentially just triple the price. And then the 12 terabyte option is now $60 a month. I think it would have been fair for them to lower the prices across all these tiers after all this time. But they didn't do that. They're they're going to take as much profit as possible. I also think it's funny that I pay Microsoft $80 a year for 6 terabytes of storage, and Apple is going to be charging me $360 for that same level of storage, but, whatever. So if you're in my position where you don't need 6 terabytes, but you need more than 2, I think this solution will work for you. This is what I landed on. I kicked my wife off my family plan. I said, love you, sweet buns, but you're out of here. Kicked her off. Now, of course, I'm still paying for her cloud storage. So now I essentially pay for my family plan, and then for her plan, we each have the 2 terabyte plan. We're at 4 terabytes, so it's $20 a month as opposed to $30, which it would be. You do lose some benefits when you do it this way. I no longer have access to her Apple TV Plus subscription. Now, funny enough, she is still logged into my Apple TV, so I have to log into her account to watch content on Apple TV Plus, whereas before, because she was on my family plan, it just shared it across all of our accounts. So we lost that. I also lost the ability to see her location, which is only temporary because you can reshare. Sorry, I've been talking for so long, I'm losing my voice. And then the other thing that you keep, which I thought we might lose, is shared photo library. So I thought when I kicked her out of my family plan, she would no longer be a part of my shared photo library. But it turns out that feature is actually completely independent of your family sharing iCloud storage space or not. So we actually didn't really lose that much, to be honest. So it's not a bad way of doing it if you need 4 terabytes or more than 2 terabytes, but you don't want 6. So I'm paying for 2 terabyte plans right now, and I will continue doing that until we need more than 4 terabytes total, in which case I will graduate to the 6 terabyte plan for $30 a month, which is more expensive than I think it should be, but at least you don't have to pay for Apple One, which is $30 or $45 for 2 terabytes of storage, I think. Was it 45 or 35? 33. So 35 with tax for 2 terabytes. Some people were asking if the Apple One subscriptions would be upgraded for more storage. I doubt it. You're probably going to just have to pay for the more. So you have to pay for Apple One with the storage that you get in your plan, and then you'll have to also subscribe to more Apple Plus storage, which is how they were doing it before. Now there's just more storage available to you. So not ideal, but look, at least we got something, right? Because we didn't have anything before. So if you have a big photo library, then now you at least have an option. Because look, I've tried out everything in the last 2 or 3 months. There are other apps out there. There are other services. But if you're in the Apple ecosystem, there's just nothing that works as well as Apple Photos. Like, it's not just a good storage solution. It's a really great photo app for storing photos. If you're not taking a bunch of raw images and you don't need something like Lightroom, it's the best of what's around. There's just nothing else that works as well as it does. So it's hard to leave once you have your photos invested in it, and you have like shared photo libraries, and you have shared photo albums. And anyway. All right, well, let's move on to the Wonderlust predictions before we wrap up here. Now let's take a look here. Let's take a little look to see what happens.
So for the listeners, you can click the link in the show notes, or you can just go to dgriffinjones.com. It is the most recent blog post, the results of our prediction game that we played last week. I'm not going to go through these item by item because you said you have to get out of here pretty soon, but I'll just breeze through some of the highlights here. Airphone bet against Thunderbolt on the iPhone 15 Pro models that turned out to pay out for him. Airphone bet on gold color replaced with Titan Gray. It turns out they didn't call it that. The names are actually kind of weird. They're just like black titanium, white titanium, gray titanium.
I thought that was weird.
That one, right? Somebody
Yeah.
got
Periscope camera comes exclusively to the biggest Pro phone. We all bet on that, and that gave us each a point. Biggest Pro phone renamed to iPhone 15 Ultra. That was a lot of speculation. Lewis
Oh man, we're
Lewis
tied.
voted no on
Tied
that,
so
and he
far.
turned
I don't like
out to
this.
get that. Yeah, so the iPhone round gives Lewis and Airphone 4 points each. Myself 3 points. That was not as good for me. Apple Watch round. I got a perfect score on the Apple Watch round. Apple Watch and Apple Watch Ultra updated with faster chip. We all voted against the Series 9 getting the action button.
I'm pulling ahead though.
I correctly guessed the name of the Apple Watch Ultra
I know. I was
2.
kicking myself when
I
they
am
announced that. I was
still-
like, I can't believe it. He got it.
I'm stunned by that.
There were, of course, new watch faces that weren't in the beta, and Airphone's ludicrous idea that they would skip the name Series 9 and go straight to 10 turned out to not happen.
How dare you, Ludacris? I'm offended by that.
I can't believe you didn't reply yes to your own thing.
Well, I was trying to trick you guys.
Your own, yeah. Nice try, buddy.
Okay. Other hardware.
Next round.
Yeah.
Airphone and Lewis thought AirPods Pro, and AirPods
this is
Max all
close.
updated with USB-C. I thought no, they're not. That would be the obvious thing to do. Apple's isn't going to
surprised
do
they
that. They're
didn't
going to update like one or two of them and leave the AirPods Max like collecting dust on the shelf, which is what they always do. So,
Almost the instant I said that, I regretted it.
and yeah, of course, no new Macs, no new iPads. A vague sort of yes, we're still kicking away on Vision Pro. So we all got points for those. Miscellaneous round. Segment highlights movies and shows coming to Apple TV Plus. We all voted yes. Bizarrely, they didn't do this. They gave like a name drop on the morning of the morning show, which is coming out soon. But here's the weird thing. 24 hours after the event ends, they drop a teaser trailer to For All Mankind Season 4. Why didn't they do that during the event?
Not enough time.
Weird.
They didn't mention Killers of the Flower Moon, this new Scorsese film that's coming out. They released another trailer for that just I think today. I don't know. I thought they were more desperate for viewers, but I guess not.
We all correctly guessed they were going to retire leather from cases of bans going forwards. Apple executives shown in remote location. Of course, they like to spruce up those videos. One of those remote locations was just like a warehouse of some
Yeah,
kind.
it's like a
For the iPhone 15
one of the
segment?
piers down in San Francisco.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I know. I thought, wow, I wonder what that was like when they were filming that. You know, maybe it was all virtual.
I didn't
Who
know
knows?
that was a notable location, so I was just like confused why they were filming in a warehouse.
But you see that like they zoomed into it, right?
Yeah. Finally, event runs over 75 minutes. I thought they didn't actually have that much, but it was just over it was like 80 minutes.
Well, I
or
think
something
you
like
I
that.
think you were right, but they still managed to pontificate for a full 80 minutes about things that they probably could have kept more concise. But there you go.
You didn't see the tap coming.
Man, yeah, the
If
tap
they-
took up a full 10 minutes. That
If
put us
they
over.
hadn't had a full like ad about the tap only, you'd have probably been okay.
Man, it's really close. I mean, I honestly don't know if Lewis or I won. I'm going to guess it's me because Lewis seemed to not want to do this segment. So I'm going to guess that I won.
Okay. Well, I will
Oh,
reveal the
man.
scores.
I was going to
Griffin
say.
14, Lewis 14, Airphone 15.
Oh,
Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na. I cannot believe that I won that. That was so close. I think it's because you guys copied a lot of my answers, to be honest with you. I went first, didn't I? I set the tone for all the answers here, but we were neck and neck.
You won though.
it's pretty funny how many times we differed on things and yet still came out so close.
Well, especially
close.
in the iPhone 15 category, because we
that's
did.
the most misses, huh?
There was only one, I guess, two areas of overlap where people got things wrong for the iPhone 15. The biggest faux pro, I can't even say it. The biggest pro phone renamed to iPhone 15 Ultra. Oh man, me and Griffin said yes on that one. They should have done it too. And then gold color is replaced with Titan Gray. That's so stupid. They should have called it Titan Gray. Natural titanium just sounds so lame, doesn't it? It's just natural titanium. There's nothing. There's nothing.
So we're not wrong. Apple's wrong.
Yeah.
I want to hear from the source who got burned with that leak. The Titan Gray source. Give us a call.
I
can't
don't
wait
even
to hear
remember
your
who it
story.
was at this point. We had so many rumors. All right, look. That was fun. We've been live for an hour and 45 minutes. So I can't even believe
longer
that.
than the event itself.
Shocking. And yet we didn't even cover as much as they did. That's also not surprising. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. Hey, come tell us what you think on Twitter. Let me know which phone you're going to get. I'm curious. Should I go Max? Come let me know. Should I go Max? I'm at Airfon, ERFON. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. Griffin, he's in the shadows. You'll never know where he is, but he's always there watching, lingering, judging.
I'm a Mastodon at D. Griffin Jones.
He's there. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for hanging out and for listening, and we will see you guys. Put this way over here. That's why I have to go off to the side. Next time. If we go another minute longer, I'm going to have to get out my Motorman's friend, Lewis. And I promised myself I would never use that live on the show again. Next time I just have to attach it before we start. Next
please
event.
Don't do that live.
Next event episode, I'm going to just show up with it on. All right, everyone. I'm going to stop it now. I'm sure you've had enough by now. Have a great weekend. If you need me, I'll be playing Starfield. Starfield?
That was that, Mel?
That's all I've done for the last week. All right. Bye, y'all. Clear.